At 9:07 on June 29, 1944, Staff Sergeant Lafayette Pool crouched inside the cramped turret of his M4 Sherman near Villiers-Fossard, France, watching German infantry shift positions through the hedgerows 300 yards ahead. 24 years old, 0 combat missions, 0 tank kills. The 3rd Armored Division had landed on Omaha Beach 6 days earlier. Pool's battalion was about to attack a fortified German salient held by the 353rd Infantry Division. Every tank commander in the regiment knew the math. Shermans carried 75mm guns. German Panthers mounted long-barrel 75mm guns with twice the penetration. German Tigers packed 88mm guns that could punch through a Sherman's frontal armor at 2,000 yards. A Sherman couldn't penetrate a Panther's front plate at any range. Pool named his tank In the Mood after the Glenn Miller song. His crew thought he was crazy. Corporal Wilbert Richards drove. Private First Class Bert Close manned the bow gun. Corporal Willis Aller sat at the main gun. Technician 5th grade Del Boggs loaded. 4 men who'd trained together for 2 years at Fort Knox and the Desert Training Center in California. None had ever fired at a real target that fired back. The attack order came at 0900. Task Force X moved left. Task Force Y moved right. Pool's Sherman rolled through a gap cut by bulldozer tanks. German anti-tank guns opened fire immediately. 3 Shermans exploded in the first 5 minutes. Pool spotted a German half-track at 400 yards. Aller fired. Hit. The vehicle burned. Pool's first kill. 3 more half-tracks followed. Then an armored car. Then a supply truck. The hedgerows made visibility impossible. German infantry fired Panzerfaust rockets from 30 yards. Pool couldn't see them until the rocket was already flying. At 14:30, a Panzerfaust hit In the Mood's right track. The explosion threw Pool against the turret wall. Fire started in the engine compartment. Richards backed the tank 20 yards while smoke filled the interior. Pool ordered everyone out. All 5 men survived. The tank burned. 31 other Shermans in Combat Command A were destroyed in 2 days. Pool stood in a French field that night, watching his first tank burn. The regiment lost 31 tanks and 12 other vehicles fighting for 1 village against a single reinforced German battalion. The Sherman's armor was too thin. The gun was too weak. German tanks killed from ranges where American crews couldn't even see the muzzle flash. Every tanker in the 3rd Armored Division knew these facts. Most accepted them as the price of war. Pool did not. If you want to see how Pool turned a losing weapon into a killing machine, please hit that like button. It helps us share more forgotten stories like this. Subscribe if you haven't already. Back to Pool. He requested a meeting with his battalion commander the next morning. The colonel expected a scared sergeant asking for a transfer to the infantry. Instead, Pool asked for a replacement tank. Then he said something that made the colonel think he was insane. He wanted to lead every attack. He wanted the front position, every single time. The colonel asked why. Pool's answer was 3 words: get in close. Pool got his 2nd Sherman on July 1st, an M4A1 with the new 76mm gun. Better penetration. Still not enough to punch through a Panther's frontal armor beyond 500 yards. Pool named it In the Mood. Same name, different tank. Same crew. Richards drove, Close manned the bow gun. Aller aimed. Boggs loaded. They'd survived 1 burning tank together. Now they'd see if Pool's insane tactic would keep them alive or kill them faster. The doctrine said, keep distance, fire from cover, use terrain. Let tank destroyers handle enemy armor. Pool ignored all of it. His tactic was simple: charge straight at German positions. Get within 300 yards. Fire first. The crew thought he'd lost his mind. Richards asked if Pool had a death wish. Pool's answer was cold mathematics. A Sherman dies at 2,000 yards from a Panther. A Panther dies at 300 yards from a Sherman. Close the distance, survive. It was suicide by the book, but the book was getting American tankers killed at long range anyway. Combat Command A pushed east from Normandy toward Mortain in early August. Pool's platoon led. Always. He insisted on it. he spotted 2 German Mark IV tanks at 800 yards on August 2nd near Juvigny. Standard doctrine said halt and fire from cover. Pool ordered Richards forward at full speed, 25 miles per hour, straight at the Panzers. The German crew saw a single Sherman charging. They hesitated. 3 seconds of confusion. Why would an American tank commander do something so tactically stupid? Pool closed to 400 yards. Aller fired. First Mark IV exploded. The second Panzer's turret swung toward Pool. Aller loaded armor-piercing. Fired again. Penetration. 2 kills in 40 seconds. Pool's aggressive tactics worked because they violated German expectations. Panzer commanders trained to engage Shermans at long range, where German guns dominated. They expected American tanks to stop and trade shots from 1,000 yards. When a Sherman charged instead, German crews assumed it was damaged or the commander was panicking. That hesitation cost them 3 seconds. At close range against a Sherman 76mm gun, 3 seconds meant death. The 3rd Armored Division raced east through France in mid-August, trying to close the Falaise pocket. Pool led every advance. He destroyed 4 more Panzers near Fromentel on August 13th. 2 Panthers, 2 Mark IVs. His tactic never changed. Spot the enemy, charge directly at them. Fire at point-blank range. His crew stopped questioning the insanity. They'd seen it work 15 times now. Aller became the fastest gunner in the regiment. Boggs could load a 76mm round in 4 seconds. Close's bow machine gun cut down German infantry before they could fire Panzerfausts. Richards learned to accelerate straight toward enemy fire instead of away from it. Pool's reputation spread through the 3rd Armored Division. Infantry units requested him specifically for attacks. His battalion commander stopped trying to keep him in reserve positions. By September 1st, Pool had destroyed 8 confirmed Panzers and over 100 other vehicles in 63 days of continuous combat. Then, on August 17th near Fromentel, an American P-38 Lightning appeared overhead during a firefight. The P-38 pilot saw a German tank column moving through Fromentel, except they weren't German. Pool's platoon was clearing the last enemy forces from the village. The Lightning dove. Pool saw the aircraft line up for a strafing run. He grabbed the radio handset to call friendly aircraft. Too late. The P-38's 50 caliber machine guns opened fire. Rounds punched through In the Mood's engine deck. Then the pilot fired rockets. One hit the turret. Another hit the hull. The second In the Mood burned. Pool and his crew bailed out for the 2nd time in 7 weeks. No casualties. Richards was furious. Close was shaking. Aller just stared at the burning Sherman. Boggs asked how many times they'd have to survive this. Pool said as many as it takes. The battalion gave him his 3rd tank the next day. Another M4A1 with a 76mm gun. He named it In the Mood. Tank number 3. Combat Command A moved east after the Falaise pocket closed. Paris was liberated on August 25th. The 3rd Armored Division crossed the Seine River on August 26th and pushed northeast toward Belgium. Pool led, always leading. His tactics were now battalion doctrine. Get close, fire first, win. August 29th through 31st. Pool's platoon spearheaded the advance through a sector held by remnants of the German 2nd Panzer Division. His tank rolled alone ahead of the task force. Richards asked if they should wait for support. Pool said no. They encountered 4 German panzers near a crossroads at dawn on August 29th. Pool charged. 800 yards. 600. 400. Aller fired. First panzer exploded. German return fire missed. Pool closed to 200 yards. Second panzer destroyed. Third. Fourth. All burning within 6 minutes. Over the next 3 days, Pool destroyed 3 anti-tank guns, approximately 50 armored vehicles, and an overwhelming number of enemy infantry. He captured 27 German soldiers, who surrendered after watching their supporting armor burn. His actions earned him the Distinguished Service Cross. The citation said his unflinching courage and inspired leadership permitted the rapid advance of his task force with minimum casualties. What it didn't say was that Pool violated every tactical principle in the manual and survived because German tank commanders couldn't believe anyone would be that aggressive. By early September, Pool had destroyed 12 confirmed Panzers, Panthers, Mark IVs, one Tiger that made the mistake of exposing its thinner side armor. His total vehicle count reached 258. Half-tracks, armored cars, self-propelled guns, supply trucks, anything German with wheels or tracks. Over 1,000 enemy killed, 250 prisoners taken, 81 days of continuous combat. The 3rd Armored Division approached the German border in mid-September. Pool's crew was scheduled to rotate home for a war bonds tour. They'd survived 3 destroyed tanks. They'd beaten every German panzer they'd encountered. They had 4 more days of combat before going home. On September 19th, Pool's battalion attacked the Siegfried Line at Münsterbusch, southeast of Aachen. Pool wasn't leading this time. Orders from above. His platoon would provide flank security, while another unit spearheaded the assault. Pool spotted a German anti-tank gun hidden in a house at 300 yards. Pool ordered Oehler to load high explosive, destroy the gun before it could fire. Oehler wasn't there. Corporal Oehler had been temporarily transferred back to the United States for a medical evaluation before the crew's scheduled rotation home. The loader was Private First Class Paul Kenneth King, a replacement. His first combat mission, King grabbed a 76mm round and shoved it into the breech. Too hard, too fast. The round jammed. Pool worked frantically to clear it. The German gun fired first. The round hit in the Mood's turret. The impact threw Pool against the commander's hatch, but didn't penetrate. Richards immediately threw the transmission into reverse. Back up. Get to cover. The Sherman rolled backward 20 feet. The German crew reloaded. Pool was still trying to clear the jammed gun. He yelled at Richards to back up faster. The second round hit. This one caught the tank's right side as it tipped backward over the edge of a ditch. The 75mm armor-piercing round punched through. The explosion flipped the 30-ton Sherman completely over. The impact threw Pool out of the commander's hatch onto the ground 12 feet below. He landed on his right leg. The leg folded, shattered. Pool felt the bone snap in 4 places. He looked down. His right leg was twisted at an impossible angle. Blood soaked through his trousers. A shell splinter had sliced through his calf and thigh. Inside the overturned tank, King was dead, killed instantly by the penetrating round. Richards crawled out through the driver's hatch. Close squeezed through the bow gunner's position. Boggs emerged from the loader's hatch covered in blood. Not his blood, King's blood. Pool reached for the morphine syringe in his first aid pouch, jabbed it into his thigh. The pain was overwhelming. He could see white bone through the torn flesh. The leg was barely attached. He pulled out his pocket knife and tried to cut through the remaining tissue. Better to lose the leg here than bleed out waiting for medics. Lieutenant Colonel Walter Richardson ran up and stopped him, gave Pool a second morphine injection. Medics arrived 30 seconds later. Third injection. They wrapped the leg in bandages soaked with sulfa powder. The bleeding slowed, but didn't stop. Pool cursed the Germans as medics lifted him onto a stretcher. He twisted suddenly and grabbed Richardson's arm. His words were slurred from morphine. "Somebody take care of my tank." Richardson promised he would. Pool passed out. The war was over for Lafayette Pool. 81 days of combat, 12 confirmed Panzer kills, 258 total vehicles destroyed, over 1,000 enemy killed, 250 captured, 3 tanks burned under him. He'd survived 2. The third cost him his right leg. Army surgeons amputated 8 inches above the knee at a field hospital in Belgium. Pool spent the next 22 months in rehabilitation, first at William Beaumont General Hospital in El Paso, Texas, then at Lawson General Hospital in Georgia, where they fitted him with a prosthetic leg. He was discharged in June 1946. Most soldiers would have gone home, opened a business, lived quietly. Pool didn't. He wanted back in. Pool opened a filling station in Sinton, Texas in 1947, then a garage. He married Evelyn. They had 8 children, 4 sons, 4 daughters. He walked on a wooden prosthetic leg. The leg ached constantly. He never complained. But running a gas station wasn't enough. He missed the army. He missed tanks. In 1948, Pool re-enlisted. The army assigned him to the Transportation Corps. Desk work, supply chains. Nothing like commanding a Sherman in combat. Pool hated it. He applied for transfer to the 3rd Armored Division, the division he'd made famous. Request denied. He didn't meet physical standards. Missing leg. Medical discharge recommended. Pool refused to quit. He wrote directly to General Roderick Allen, who'd commanded the 2nd Armored Division during the war. Allen remembered Pool's reputation, the crazy tank commander who charged Panthers. Allen made calls, pulled strings. In 1948, Pool finally came home to the 3rd Armored Division. Not as a tank commander, as an instructor in automotive mechanics at Fort Knox, Kentucky, teaching young tankers how to keep Shermans running. It wasn't combat, but it was tanks. Pool became a legend at Fort Knox. Instructors pointed him out to trainees. That's Staff Sergeant Pool, America's greatest tank ace. 12 Panzers, 258 vehicles, 81 days. The man who proved American tanks could beat German armor if you got close enough. Some trainees didn't believe the stories. Pool would show them his prosthetic leg. Then he'd tell them about Villiers-Fossard, about charging Panthers at Colombier, about 3 burning Shermans. The trainees believed after that. He retired from the United States Army on September 19, 1960. Exactly 16 years after losing his leg at Munsterbusch, he left with the rank of Chief Warrant Officer 2. 29 years of service. He'd given the Army everything. The Army gave him a pension and a medal case full of decorations. Distinguished Service Cross, Legion of Merit, Silver Star with Oak Leaf Cluster, Bronze Star, Purple Heart, Belgian Fourragère, French Legion of Honor. After retirement, Pool attended business college. He became a preacher for $25 a week at a small church. He coached Little League Baseball in Killeen, Texas. Kids loved him. He never talked about the war unless someone asked directly. When they asked, he always said the same thing. There were no heroes, no Rambos. We were a team. Every medal I received wasn't me. It was my team. Pool was nominated twice for the Medal of Honor. The first time, the paperwork was lost somewhere between France and Washington. The second time, the recommendation was denied. The justification said it was a crew effort, not individual heroism. Pool agreed with that assessment. He always credited Richards for driving straight into enemy fire, Aller for being the fastest gunner in the regiment, Boggs for 4-second reload times, Close for protecting the tank from infantry. Without them, Pool said, I'm just another dead tanker in a French field. In 1988, Pool visited Fort Hood, Texas. A reporter asked for his advice to modern soldiers. Pool's answer was simple. Learn to survive. Shoot to kill. Always go forward. Never retreat. Lafayette Green Pool died in his sleep on May 30th, 1991 in Killeen, Texas. He was 71 years old. Survived by his wife Evelyn, 8 children, and dozens of grandchildren. He was buried at Fort Sam Houston National Cemetery in San Antonio, Texas, with full military honors. His grave marker lists his rank as Chief Warrant Officer 2. It doesn't mention 12 Panzers. It doesn't mention 258 vehicles. It doesn't mention that he was America's deadliest tank commander. 2 years after Pool's death, the Army dedicated a new tank driver training simulator hall at Fort Knox in his honor, the Lafayette Pool Tank Crew Training Facility. Lieutenant Colonel Olin Brewster, who served with Pool in the 3rd Armored Division and remained his friend for 47 years, gave the dedication speech. Brewster said Pool taught an entire generation of tankers that aggressive action beats superior firepower, that courage and speed matter more than armor thickness, that American crews could win if they fought smart and fought mean. Pool's tactics influenced American armor doctrine for decades. The principle of aggressive maneuver at close range became standard training at Fort Knox. Get inside the enemy's engagement envelope. Force them to fight at ranges where your weapon works. Modern tank commanders study Pool's engagements at Colombier and the August 29th battle, where he destroyed 4 Panzers in 6 minutes. The tactics work against T-72s and T-90s the same way they worked against Panthers. In 2014, Columbia Pictures released Fury, a film about an American Sherman crew fighting through Germany in April 1945. Brad Pitt played Staff Sergeant Don Collier, nicknamed War Daddy, a hard-charging tank commander who led from the front and got inside German firing ranges. The movie never mentioned Lafayette Pool by name, but everyone who knew the real story recognized the character. War Daddy was Pool's actual nickname, given to him by his crew. The aggressive tactics were Pool's tactics. The command style was Pool's style. Even the phrase about getting home the fastest way by smashing through the German army was something Pool actually said. The film took creative liberties. The final battle, where one Sherman holds off an SS battalion, never happened. But the core truth remained. American tank crews could beat superior German armor through aggressive tactics and superior crew coordination. Pool proved that 81 times in 1944. Historians debate whether Pool was actually America's top tank ace. Canadian tanker Sidney Radley Walters claimed more kills on the Western Front. Soviet tankers like Dmitry Lavernenko had higher confirmed numbers on the Eastern Front. German aces like Michael Wichmann far exceeded Pool's total. But those debates miss the point. Pool accomplished his record in 81 days, less than 3 months, using a tank that was technically inferior to everything it fought. That's what made him exceptional. The M4 Sherman has a terrible reputation. Historians call it a death trap. Veterans called it a Ronson lighter. Burns every time. German tankers called them Tommy Cookers. But the Sherman wasn't the problem. Doctrine was the problem. American tank tactics in Normandy kept Shermans at long range, where German guns dominated. Pool proved that Shermans could win by closing distance and fighting at point-blank range, where the 76mm gun worked. His 3 destroyed tanks tell that story. Villiers-Fossard, Fromentel, Munsterbusch. 3 times burned, 3 times bailed out, twice survived without casualties. The 3rd time killed his gunner, and cost him his leg. But Pool always said he was lucky. Lucky to survive 3 hits. Lucky his crew survived twice. Lucky the medics reached him in time at Munsterbusch. His crew scattered after the war. Corporal Wilbert Richards, the driver Pool called Baby, returned to civilian life. He gave interviews in the 1980s about Pool's tactics. Richards said he thought Pool was insane the first time he ordered full speed toward a Panther. But after surviving 20 engagements, Richards understood. Pool wasn't reckless. He calculated every charge. He knew exactly how close they needed to get. He knew the precise moment when a Sherman's gun became lethal and a Panther's advantage disappeared. That knowledge kept them alive. Private First Class Bert Close, the 17-year-old bow gunner they called Schoolboy, spoke to historians in the 1990s. Close said Pool never wasted time with long briefings or motivational speeches. The orders were always simple. Enemy at 800 yards, full speed. Fire at 300. The clarity helped during combat. No confusion, no hesitation. Everyone knew their job. Do it fast, do it right, live. Corporal Willis Aller, the gunner nicknamed Groundhog, returned from his medical evaluation in the United States 3 weeks after Munsterbusch. He learned about King's death and Pool's injury. Aller blamed himself. He believed if he'd been in the tank that day, the gun wouldn't have jammed. He would have fired before the German crew. Pool wrote to Aller from the hospital in 1945, told him to stop. The jam wasn't about skill. It was about an inexperienced loader under fire for the first time. King did his best. He died doing his job. That's all any soldier can do. Technician 5th grade Del Boggs, the loader called Jailbird, never spoke publicly about the war. His family said he kept Pool's letters until he died. In one letter from 1970, Pool wrote about their 81 days together. Pool said he pushed them harder than any crew in the division, demanded perfection, accepted nothing less. But they delivered. 4-second reload times, first-round hits at full speed, zero panic under fire. Pool wrote that he'd served with hundreds of soldiers, none better than his crew in the Mood. The name In the Mood appeared on 3 different Shermans. Tank 1 burned at Villiers-Fossard on June 29th. Tank 2 burned at Fromentel on August 17th. Tank 3 burned at Münsterbusch on September 19th. Pool never changed the name. He said it reminded him why they fought. They were in the mood for anything. In the mood to win, in the mood to survive, in the mood to prove American tankers could beat German armor. The 3rd Armored Division fought from Normandy to the Siegfried Line to the Elbe River. The division destroyed over 1,000 German tanks and 5,000 other vehicles. Pool's 12 confirmed Panzer kills represented 1% of that total. His 258 vehicle kills represented 5%. 1 crew, 1 tank commander, 81 days. Modern tank crews still study his tactics at Fort Benning and Fort Moore. They analyze his August 29th engagement, where he destroyed 4 Panzers in 6 minutes. The lessons remain relevant. Aggressive maneuver defeats superior firepower. Speed creates confusion. Closing distance negates the enemy's advantage. Pool understood these principles in 1944 without modern doctrine manuals or computer simulations. He figured it out by watching 31 Shermans burn at Villiers-Fossard and deciding there had to be a better way. The Patton Museum at Fort Knox displayed Pool's uniform and medals until the museum closed in 2016. The collection moved to Fort Moore, Georgia, where the National Armor and Cavalry Museum now preserves Pool's legacy. Visitors can see his Distinguished Service Cross citation, his Silver Star, his Purple Heart, the prosthetic leg he wore for 45 years. Photographs of In the Mood rolling through French villages with Pool standing in the commander's hatch. He almost never buttoned up. He was claustrophobic. Preferred sitting on top of the tank or standing exposed in the hatch, despite the danger. Better visibility meant faster target acquisition, faster kills, higher survival rate. The math worked. The museum also displays technical diagrams of the M4A1 Sherman. Visitors can see exactly what Pool commanded: 30 tons, 12 feet tall, 20 feet long, crew of 5, maximum speed 25 miles per hour. Armor thickness ranged from 25 millimeters to 76 millimeters. The 76 millimeter gun could penetrate 100 millimeters of armor at 500 yards. A Panther's frontal armor was 80 millimeters at 30 degrees. The math said, Shermans lose. Pool proved the math wrong by changing the range. Archives at the 3rd Armored Division History Foundation contain Pool's combat reports. Researchers can read his exact engagements day by day, June 29th through September 19th. Every kill documented, every action verified. 12 confirmed Panzers, 258 total vehicles. The documentation matters because it proves Pool's record was real, not exaggerated, not propaganda. Just one tank commander who understood that aggressive action beats defensive hesitation. If this story moved you the way it moved us, do me a favor, hit that like button. Every single like tells YouTube to show this story to more people. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We're rescuing forgotten stories from dusty archives every single day. Stories about tankers and mechanics and soldiers who saved lives with courage and tactics and refusing to accept that their equipment was inferior. Real people, real heroism. Drop a comment right now and tell us where you're watching from. Are you watching from the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, France? Our community stretches across the entire world. You're not just a viewer. You're part of keeping these memories alive. Tell us your location. Tell us if someone in your family served. Tell us if you've heard of Lafayette Pool before. Just let us know you're here. Thank you for watching. And thank you for making sure Lafayette Pool doesn't disappear into silence. This man destroyed 12 Panzers in 81 days using a tank everyone said couldn't win. He lost a leg, proving them wrong. And you're helping make sure his story survives. These men deserve to be remembered, and you're helping make that happen.